Welcome to another episode of the Echoes of Eir. All right, so get this. Today, we're going deep, like really deep into Irish mythology.
Sounds intriguing.
It is, especially since we're focusing on, you guessed it, the Morrigan.
Ah, the Morrigan. Always a fascinating subject.
Definitely. And we've got like a ton of sources for this deep dive.
Nice. Thorough. Always a good approach.
Right.
So what's the plan for today's deep dive? Unraveling the mysteries of the Morrigan.
You got it. We're going to sift through all this info and try to, separate fact from fiction, get to the real Morrigan.
I'm in. It's always amazing how much misinformation gets mixed in over time.
Totally. It's like a game of telephone, but with mythology.
Exactly. So where do we start?
Well, I think first we got to address the elephant in the room,
What's that?
the whole triple goddess thing.
Oh, yeah, that comes up all the time.
Everywhere. But from what I was reading, that concept, well, it's more of a modern take.
You're right. The triple goddess, as in maiden, mother, crone, that's more of a modern neo-pagan archetype. Not really how she was seen in traditional Irish myths.
Okay, so myth busted right off the bat. So if she's not this 3-in-1 goddess, what does that mean for understanding her, like the real her?
Well, it means we got to think of her as an individual, powerful in her own right. But that said, the number 3 still pops up. In other sources, she's consistently listed with her sisters Bad and Macha. Sometimes Nimain gets thrown in there too.
Ah, the sisters.
Yeah.
I've seen them referred to as the 3 Morrigans.
Yeah, exactly. So the 3 aspect is more about this close association with her sisters, not about her being 3 aspects in one.
Gotcha. It's like they're all part of the same family, similar, but each with their own, personality and story.
That's a great way to put it. Now, speaking of mistaken identity, there's that famous tale with Cú Chulainn.
Oh yeah, the legendary Irish hero. I remember that from our research. It was actually her sister, the Bad, who interacted with Cú Chulainn.
Yes, it was.
Not the Morrigan herself.
Yeah, and that's important to remember that distinction,
Yeah.
Because the Bad, the Morrigan is associated with war and fate,
Right.
but she's a different person with her own stories and significance.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The Bad and Cú Chulainn. What happened between these two powerful figures?
Well, the Bad, she takes on all these different animal forms.
Okay.
Like an eel, a wolf, even a heifer.
Oh.
She's trying to mess with Cú Chulainn right as he's defending Ulster from Queen Med's army.
Okay.
And he actually manages to wound her each time.
Really?
Yeah, and then later he meets this old woman who offers him milk.
Okay.
And he has no idea it's the Bab in disguise.
Oh, no.
I know, right?
What happened?
Well, he drinks the milk and he ends up healing her.
So he heals the very entity that was trying to take him down.
I know, right? Talk about irony.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's the significance of that? What do you make of that?
I think it just shows you how complex their relationship is, you know? They're bound by destiny, playing out these roles in this larger cosmic drama.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
And that drama, sadly, doesn't end well for Cú Chulainn.
Right, the Bad Bib appears at the moment of his death.
Yeah, as a crow.
It's chilling.
Chilling.
Right.
Yeah, he's mortally wounded in battle, ties himself to a standing stone to make his enemies think he's still alive.
Oh, wow.
And then this crow lands on his shoulder,
Oh, my God.
and they know he's a goner.
And the crow is the bad.
The crow is the bad bee.
Yeah.
Yeah, symbolizing her, connection to death and fate.
Wow, it's such a powerful image.
It is.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it makes you think about her and her sisters, right?
Yeah,
They all have these connections to war and fate,
right.
but they're separate figures.
Yeah.
So what does that tell us about, their dynamic?
That's a great question, and it's something we can dig into a little more.
Okay.
But before we do that, I think it's important to remember that she's not just a member of the Tuatha Dé Danann.
Right.
She's also said to be the daughter of Ernmas.
Uh-huh.
And Ernmas has other daughters who are linked to war and fate.
So it's like a whole family affair?
It is. It's like this powerful, maybe supernatural family lineage, all connected to these themes of, conflict and destiny.
The fate of Ireland.
The fate of Ireland, exactly.
Okay, so we're going to unpack all of that.
Right. It's not just her. It's like this whole family lineage.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
Yeah, it is.
So what does that tell us about her place in Irish mythology?
Well, I think it makes her even more complex. She's not just acting on her own. She's part of this larger force that's tied to these fundamental forces that shape the destiny of Ireland.
Wow, it's like a supernatural dynasty.
It is kind of.
Wielding power over war and fate and even death.
Exactly.
Even her name. I mean, her name is really interesting.
It is.
Great Queen.
Yeah, Great Queen.
But then one of your sources pointed out that Phantom Queen is actually the preferred translation.
It is, yeah. Among scholars, Phantom Queen is usually the one they go with.
Oh, Phantom Queen. That's so
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, it's a little spookier.
It is. Like, why that one?
Well, I think it just kind of speaks to her more enigmatic nature.
Okay.
You know, it's not just a ruler, it's like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
Being associated with, prophecy and fate and even death.
Oh, wow.
Operating in the shadows,
So she's not your average queen.
No, she's not.
Not at all. So
Yeah.
so how do we see that in action? What are some examples of her, like, shaping events in these myths?
Well, there's a really good example in the Second Battle of Moytura.
So,
It's a legendary battle between the Tuatha Dé Danann and the Fomorians.
okay.
And it's described in the Cath Mage Tuaird. And before the Battle of the Morgan, she goes to the Dagda, and she, prophesies their victory.
Oh, wow.
And she vows to personally destroy the Fomorian king.
Oh, my God.
His name is Indek.
Indek.
Yeah, and my notes say that she took handfuls of his blood to the battlefield.
What? That's intense.
No, right?
It's a little bit gruesome, but that's a really powerful image.
It is.
Like, she's not messing around.
No.
She's not just predicting the future. She's, like, making it happen.
Right. She's in there. She's getting her hands dirty. She's influencing the course of events.
Totally. And then during the battle, her cries were said to, incite this frenzy.
Yeah, incite a frenzy among the Tuatha Dé Danann.
Wow, so they just, completely routed the Fomorians?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's earned that Phantom Queen title.
She really has.
So we've talked about her influence on the battlefield, but it goes beyond that, right?
Yeah, it does.
What else jumped out at you about her?
Well, her connection to specific places in Ireland was something that really caught my attention.
Ah, yes. Like that Owenigit, also known as the Cave of the Cats, right?
Yeah.
It's over in County Roscommon, and it's said to be her home and a portal to the other world, especially during Samhain.
Spooky and cool.
Right. It's like something out of a fantasy novel.
Totally. It's this incredibly evocative image. Just imagine standing at the mouth of this cave, knowing it's a place where the veil between worlds thins, like a doorway to another realm.
Chills. And speaking of boundaries, it seems the Morgan wasn't just hanging out in one spot.
Right. Fulach na Mor Riogan means cooking pit of the Morrigan. It's in County Tipperary.
A significant place because it was connected to outsiders, travelers, hunters, people on the fringes.
Yeah, and I think that points to another side of the Morrigan, her connection to the untamed, the wild, both in nature and society.
Makes sense. And then there's Datich na Mariña,
Which means?
two breasts of the Morgan. It's a pair of hills near Brunaboyne in County Meath.
Ah, wow. So we see her presence in these geographical features too, woven into the landscape.
Fascinating, right? It's like the land itself is telling her story. Makes you wonder, if the people who live near these places, felt like a stronger connection to the Morgan, like she was watching over them.
Yeah, I bet they did. Imagine living near those hills, knowing they're linked to this powerful goddess. Must have added a whole other dimension to their lives, their relationship to the land.
Totally.
But no matter how you slice it, the Morgan is tapping into something primal,
Okay.
something that resonates across cultures and time periods.
Yeah, it's like she embodies these universal fears and fascinations.
Right.
With destiny and death and the unknown.
Totally. And maybe these figures represent something deep within the human psyche.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think so. They give us a way to explore these complex and often unsettling aspects of the human experience. But we do it in a way that's symbolic and even empowering.
Yeah, for sure. But the Morrigan is more than just war and death, right?
Right.
We talked about her connection to the land and even fertility.
Yeah, she's connected to all of that.
It's almost contradictory.
It is kind of.
How could you be associated with war and destruction, but also with life and creation?
It's a fascinating duality, for sure.
It is.
But I think it speaks to her multifaceted nature.
Okay.
She's not easily categorized. She represents this whole spectrum of existence.
Okay.
This cyclical nature of life and death, creation and destruction.
Oh, wow.
She's both destroyer and protector.
So she's a force that shapes and influences all aspects of life.
Exactly.
It's like she embodies the very forces that govern the natural world.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Like this constant cycle of birth, death, and rebirth.
Yeah, it's not just a character in the story. It's
Yeah.
like she's a representation of the story itself.
That's so cool. And she was also said to be the consort of the Dagda.
Yes.
And he's a god associated with fertility and abundance.
Right, so their union emphasizes that connection
Okay.
between the Morrigan and the life-giving forces of the land.
Yeah, so she's both sides of the coin,
Exactly.
the dark and the light,
The destructive and the creative.
and her ability to shapeshift.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
To take on different forms like a crow or a wolf or even a beautiful woman.
Right. All of that reflects her multifaceted nature.
And her power to move between different realms.
It's like she transcends any single definition or category.
Yeah, she's a force of nature, a warrior, a prophet, a queen, and so much more.
She really is.
So what does that tell us about the way that the ancient Celts viewed the world?
Well, I think it suggests that they had a worldview that embraced complexity and contradiction.
Okay.
You know, life and death, creation and destruction, they weren't seen as opposing forces,
Okay.
but rather as like interconnected and essential parts of a larger whole.
That's a really fascinating perspective.
Absolutely. That's why her story continues to resonate with people even today.
Yeah.
You definitely see that.
She challenges us to confront the complexities of life,
Yeah.
acknowledge the power of fate, and embrace the full range of human experience.
The light and the shadow.
Thank you.
This has been so insightful.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from her battles and prophecies to her family, ties her connection to the land.
It's amazing how much depth there is to her story.
It really is, and yet I still feel like there's more to uncover.
There is.
Like, how has her story impacted Irish culture?
Yeah.
And what is it about her that continues to fascinate us today?
Well, those are some great questions.
They are.
And I think they're the perfect questions to explore as we move into the final part of our deep dive. How the Morrigan story has impacted Irish culture and why she continues to fascinate people today.
Yeah, and it's really amazing how she's not just this figure from the past, right? Like, she's very much alive in our modern world.
Oh, yeah, totally. You see her everywhere.
Everywhere, yeah.
Literature, art, music, even like video games.
Yeah.
It's like her story just transcends time.
It really does, and I think it speaks to her power as an archetype.
Okay.
She embodies these fundamental forces like war and fate and the power of nature.
Yeah.
And those are things that continue to captivate us, even in a modern world that's,
Right.
trying to distance itself from that kind of raw energy.
It's like she represents this part of ourselves that
Yeah.
we can't ignore,
Mm-hmm.
like a reminder of the forces that shape our lives,
Absolutely.
the beautiful and the terrifying. And I think there's something really empowering about the Morrigan.
Oh, yeah.
She's strong, she's independent, she defies expectations.
She does.
She's a warrior, she's a prophet, she's a shapeshifter,
Yeah.
she's a force of nature.
And she doesn't fit into any neat little box.
No, she doesn't. And I can see why she would resonate with people
Oh, yeah.
who feel like they're marginalized or constrained
Yeah, absolutely.
by society.
She challenges all of that.
She does. And she also challenges us to confront our own mortality
Right.
and acknowledge the power of fate
Hmm.
and just embrace the complexities of life.
And in doing so, she offers a path to self-discovery and empowerment.
That's really cool. So if we connect all of this back to you, what does this deep dive mean for your own understanding of Irish mythology?
Well, for me, it just reinforces this idea that these ancient myths are more than just stories.
Yeah.
They're like reflections of the human experience.
Okay.
Our struggles, our triumphs, our fears, our aspirations.
Right.
And they give us this lens to look through
Okay.
so we can explore our relationship with the natural world. With fate, with the mysteries of life and death.
Wow. That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
And I think that's what makes this deep dive so rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not just about learning a bunch of facts.
Right.
It's about engaging with these stories, these archetypes,
Mm-hmm.
and letting them spark our own imaginations.
Exactly.
And the Morrigan story especially,
Yeah.
it's a reminder that there's always more to discover
Oh,
within ourselves and in the world around us.
yeah. It's an invitation to embrace complexity,
Okay,
to question our assumptions, and to never stop seeking understanding.
that is a perfect note to end on.
I think so too.
This has been amazing.
It has.
We've learned so much about the Morrigan.
Yeah, we have.
And to our listener, we encourage you to keep exploring
Yes, keep exploring.
the Morrigan and Celtic mythology.
There's a whole world out there waiting to be discovered.
There is. And you might even find yourself encountering the Morrigan
Oh, yeah.
in unexpected places,
For sure.
in a song, painting a dream.
The rustling of leaves.
Yeah, because as we've learned, she's not just a figure confined to ancient texts.
Right.
She's this living, breathing archetype.
A powerful force.
Yeah, and she continues to shape our imaginations
Absolutely.
and inspire us to embrace the fullness of our own humanity.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.